Welcome to the Daily Current Affairs by CivicCentre IAS, where we try to discuss the important articles from the Hindu, the Indian Express, and the PIB from the UPSC CSC prelims perspective. Displayed are the list of articles which we are going to discuss in today's video. The first article says that the Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi today, after having attended the first Bodoland Mahotsav, remarked that India is very proud of the Bodo culture and the success the Bodo people across different walks of life. In this context, let us talk about the Bodo community. See, the Bodo is the largest community among the scheduled tribes in Assam. Know that they are part of the Bodo Kachari that constitute up to 6% of Assam's population. Furthermore, they are primarily rice cultivators and are very fond of the fermented rice drink, which is called the Zumai. Now, what is the language do they speak? See, the Bodo people can speak the Bodo language, which is a part of Tibeto-Bourbon language family. Notably, it is one of the recognized languages of India and has an official script which is known as the Bodo script, was adapted from the Devanagari script. Talking about their religion, the Bodo people have traditionally followed Bathouism, which is an animistic belief system centered around the worship of nature, spirits, and ancestors. The second article says that at the ongoing COP29 negotiations in Azerbaijan's Baku, India stated that climate finance, which is the money that's necessary to incentivize and facilitate developing countries' adoption of renewable energy sources over the fossil fuels, should not be seen as investment goals by developed countries. In this context, let us talk about climate finance. So, climate finance refers to local, national, or transnational financing, which is drawn from public, private, and alternative sources of financing that seeks to support mitigation and adaptation actions that will address climate change. Furthermore, the UNFCCC Kyoto Protocol and the Paris Agreement call for financial assistance from parties with more financial resources, which are nothing but the developed countries, to those that are less endowed and more vulnerable, which are nothing but the developing countries. Significantly, it is in accordance with the principle of common but differentiated responsibility and respective capabilities, in short called the CBDR. Now, what are the initiatives taken by India regarding climate finance? See, firstly, National Adaptation Fund for Climate Change, which was established in the year 2015 to meet the cost of adaptation to climate change for the state and the Union Territories of India that are particularly vulnerable to the adverse effects of climate change. Secondly, we have the National Clean Energy Fund, which was created to promote the clean energy and funded through an initial carbon tax on the use of coal by industries. Know that it is governed by an interministerial group with the Finance Secretary as the chairman. Significantly, it mandates to fund research and development of innovative clean energy technology in the fossil and non-fossil fuel-based sectors. Lastly, we have the National Adaptation Fund. See, the fund was established in the year 2014 with a corpus of 100 crore rupees with the aim of bridging the gap between the need and the available funds. Notably, the fund is operated under the Ministry of Environment, Forests and Climate Change. The third article says that India has voiced its disapproval of protectionist measures that link trade barriers and carbon emissions at the ongoing climate talks in Baku of Azerbaijan. In this context, let us talk about the Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, in short called the CBAM. See, it is the European Union tariff on carbon-intensive products such as iron and steel, cement, fertilizer, aluminium, and electricity generation. Know that it will begin with an import monitoring mechanism and culminate in the levy of duties as determined from January 2026. Furthermore, CBAM is part of the Fit for 55 in 2030 package, which is the European Union's plan to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions by at least 55% by 2030 compared to the 1990 levels in line with the European climate law. Now, what is the purpose of it at all? See, the purpose of it is to put a fair price on the carbon emitted during the production of carbon-intensive goods that are entering the European Union and to encourage a cleaner industrial production in non-European Union countries. Then, what are the environmental objectives under this CBAM? See, the CBAM seeks to drive a cleaner industrial production outside the European Union, discouraging carbon leakage, where carbon-intensive activities relocate to regions with lax environmental standards. Notably, By extending the carbon pricing to imports, the European Union aims to promote global adherence to stringent climate policies and also mitigate the environmental impact of production processes beyond its borders. The next article says that the Central Bureau of Investigation has taken over the probe of 41 cases in Assam, which are concerning various unregulated depository schemes following a recommendation by the state government. In this context, let us talk about the Central Bureau of Investigation. In short, we call it the CBI. See, the CBI is the premier investigating police agency in India, functioning under the Department of Personnel, under the Ministry of Personnel, Pension and Public Grievances of the Government of India. Significantly, it is also the nodal police agency in India which coordinates investigation on behalf of the Interpol member countries. Know that it was set up in the year 1963 by a resolution of the Ministry of Home Affairs, but later it was transferred to the Ministry of Personnel. Notably, its establishment was recommended by the Santanam Committee on Prevention of Corruption in the year 1962 to 64. Remember that the CBI is neither a constitutional body nor a statutory body. So, it derives its powers from the Delhi Special Police Establishment Act of 1946. Additionally, it also provides assistance to the Central Vigilance Commission and the Lokpal. Now, what are the functions of Central Bureau of Investigation? See, the functions are firstly, to investigate the cases of corruption, bribery and misconduct of the central government employees. Secondly, to investigate the cases relating to infringement of fiscal and economic laws, that is the breach of laws concerning export and import control, customs and central excise, income tax, foreign exchange regulations and so on. Thirdly, to investigate serious crimes having national and international ramifications which are committed by organized gangs of professional criminals. Then to coordinate the activities of anti-corruption agencies and various state police forces. Next, to take up any case of public importance for investigation at the request of a state government. Lastly, to maintain crime statistics and disseminate criminal information. The next article says that taking suo motu cognizance of the news reports on the deaths of 10 elephants in Madhya Pradesh Bandhavgarh Tiger Reserve, the National Green Tribunal Principal Bench has issued a notice to state authorities and the union government. In this context, let us talk about NGT or the National Green Tribunal. See, the NGT or the National Green Tribunal is a statutory body established under the National Green Tribunal Act of 2010. Significantly, its objective is to provide effective and expeditious disposal of cases related to environmental protection, conservation of forests and other natural resources and the enforcement of legal rights pertaining to the environment. In general, the NGT flows from the right to a healthy environment as a fundamental aspect of right to life under Article 21 of the Constitution. Moving on to talk about its powers. See, NGT has the authority to hear and decide cases related to environmental protection, conservation of forests and other natural resources and enforcement of any legal right relating to the environment. Furthermore, it possesses both civil and criminal jurisdiction, allowing it to hear cases related to environmental violations and offences. Additionally, NGT has jurisdiction of all the civil cases which are mentioned in the following acts. The National Green Tribunal has jurisdiction of over all civil cases under the following mentioned acts. Significantly, the National Green Tribunal Act outlines penalties including imprisonment up to 3 years, fines up to 10 crore rupees or even both based on the violation's nature and seriousness. Also, the NGT has unique forum status, granting it the authority to take up environmental issues nationwide without awaiting specific case filings. Furthermore, the National Green Tribunal can review and challenge decisions, acts or omissions of the government or any public authority that have caused the environmental harm. Lastly, what about its principle? See, the tribunal shall not be bound by procedure laid down under the Code of Civil Procedure 1908, but shall be guided by the principles of natural justice. The next article says that, flagging concerns on the health of urban local bodies, the Comptroller and Auditor-General of India has found that city self-governments in 18 states that cater to 241 million residents are facing a 42% gap between their resources and expenditure, and that only 29% of their expenditure goes towards programmatic and development work. In this context, let us talk about Comptroller and Auditor-General of India, in short called the CAG. See, Article 148 talks about appointment, removal and conditions of the service. Under this, the Comptroller and Auditor-General of India is appointed by the President of India via a warrant under his hand and seal. Know that the CAG can only be removed in the same manner and on the same grounds as a Supreme Court judge. Notably, before assuming the office, the CAG must take an oath of office in a form set out in the third schedule, either in the presence of President or a designated official. Now, talking about its salary and service conditions, see, the salary and service conditions are determined by the Parliament and are specified in the second schedule until amended. Also, the salary and terms cannot be altered to the CAG's disadvantage after appointment. Significantly, the CAG is not eligible for any further office under the Government of India or any state government after his retirement. Then, talking about his administrative powers, see, the conditions of service of personnel in the Indian Audit and Accounts Department are prescribed by the rules made by the President in consultation with the CAG. Furthermore, the CAG's office expenses, including the salaries and pensions, are charged to the Consolidated Fund of India. Next, the Article 149 deals with the duties and powers of the CAG. See, the CAG performs duties and exercises powers related to the accounts of union, states and other authorities or bodies as prescribed by the Parliament. Then, until the Parliament makes laws to define these duties and powers, the CAG retains the duties and powers of the Auditor-General of India as exercised prior to the commencement of the Constitution. Next, Article 150 deals with the form of accounts of the Union and the states. So, the accounts of the Union and states are maintained in the format prescribed by the President based on the advice of the Comptroller and Auditor-General. Next, the Article 151 deals with the audit reports. See, the CAG audit reports concerning the Union accounts are submitted to the President, who then presents them to the both houses of Parliament. Then for the state accounts, the CAG's reports are submitted to the Governor, who lays them before the state legislature. Lastly, we have Article 279 dealing with the calculation of net proceeds. See, the term net proceeds refers to the proceeds of any tax or duty replaced by the cost of collection. So, the CAG certifies the net proceeds of any tax or duty and the certificate is final. Notably, a law made by the Parliament or an order of the President can outline procedures for calculating net proceeds and handling financial adjustments between financial years, especially when the proceeds are assigned to the states. The last article of the day says that US President and the Chinese counterpart will attend the first day of Asian Pacific Economic Cooperation, in short called the APEC, grouping in Peru ahead of a face-to-face meeting between the two leaders that will be held under a cloud of diplomatic uncertainty cast by Donald Trump's election victory in the US elections. In this context, let us talk about the Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation, in short called the APEC. See, it was established in the year 1989. Now, what is the purpose of it? See, the purpose is to leverage the growing interdependence of the Asia Pacific region by promoting balanced, inclusive, sustainable, innovative and secure economic growth and by accelerating regional economic integration. Then, if we look at the key objectives and functions of APEC, the first one is related to facilitation of trade and investment. Under this, firstly, it ensures the free movement of goods, services, investments and people across borders. Secondly, it simplifies customs, procedures and harmonizes the regulations to create a favorable business environment. And lastly, it aims to synchronize regulatory standards, enabling easier export processes with unified standards across economies. Now, the second one is related to sustainable and inclusive development. Under this, firstly, it provides digital skills training for rural communities. Then it supports indigenous women in exporting their products. Also, it implements initiatives to address climate change, such as increasing the energy efficiency and sustainable management of forest and marine resources. And it enhances the resilience to disasters, plans for pandemics, and addresses the regional security issues like terrorism. Know that the APC Secretariat, which is based in Singapore, provides administrative support for the forum's activities. These are the APEC member economies, which are 21 in total. You can have a look. So, in this video, we have discussed 7 articles in total for today from the Hindu, the Indian Express, and the PIB from the UPSC CSE Prelims perspective. We'll be back again with another video tomorrow. Thank you.